Welcome to Dr Joe Unplugged. The topics discussed in this podcast will reflect my opinions and are not in any way to be regarded as medical advice. Christmas is upon us. Time does seem to be speeding up. This year, 2024, just seems to have zipped by, and it doesn't matter who you talk to. Everybody says, where is the year gone? And nobody seems to have an answer. Christmas is a great time of year, not for everybody, and we'll get to that a little bit later. But there are two components. Number one, the obvious, it celebrates the birth of Jesus Christ, and obviously his disciples founded Christianity, and it continues 2,000 years on with, I'm not quite sure the numbers, but X billion people around the world of Christian faith. And also there is the secular side, which is celebration, presents, getting together with family or friends, and these two are not mutually exclusive. It has been observed, and I would tend to agree with it, that if Christmas didn't exist, it would need to be invented. It comes a week before the end of the year. Everybody's been busy. It's time to get together with friends and family, maybe indulge a little bit more than you might ordinarily do. Most people are in a reasonably good mood, again, not across the board. And it's interesting, doesn't matter where you go in the world, this includes countries that are nominally not Christian, it does still tend to be celebrated. I was last year in the Middle East, just in transit in Doha, and it was in November. And yes, notwithstanding it's a Muslim country, there's certainly plenty of Christmas festivities in the airport. So it's interesting that countries that aren't nominally Christian seem to have less of a problem saying Merry Christmas than some people, some of the more woke elite in Western countries. But that's a whole separate matter. For some people, it is hard going. For those who have lost loved ones in the last year, or even further back than that, Christmas can bring back memories, and they can be mixed. They can be positive. They can also be sad. Not everybody has family or friends around them. We do have people who are homeless, people who are isolated. And we can't solve all of that, but, we can do our best to try and look in perhaps on people that we know might be doing it tough, offer them a hand or some comfort where we can. Again, we can't have everybody around for lunch or for dinner, but, if it's possible to reach out to people who might be alone and there is some capacity to do so, then, look, that is genuinely part of the Christmas spirit and indeed the Christian spirit. There's no particular law that says you have to overeat. If you want to eat up big on a Christmas lunch, despite what big public health might tell you, it's not the end of the world. It's one day. Now, the issue can arise that in the lead up to Christmas, there are a lot of events and festivities that people go to. A couple of points. Number one, you don't have to go to everything if you don't want to. It's okay to say no. Go to those events that you're happy to. Don't go to ones you don't want to go to. There's no law that says if you go to an event, you have to arrive first and leave last. You can pop in, say hello to some people, and then go out. You don't have to drink alcohol at Christmas festivities. You can have a glass of wine or so, or beer, whatever you enjoy, but you don't have to. You can drink water. You don't have to eat lots of finger food. Again, you can have some nibblies, but some people end up finding that they go to a number of events, and yes, there is a lot of finger food, and it does tend to be a little bit higher in calories than what you might otherwise eat for dinner, and then by the time you get home, you're full, so you don't have dinner. You can look for some veggies and hummus, or you can maybe have some nuts or an apple or even some celery or a carrot or something like that to eat before you go, so that you already have some food in your stomach, and therefore when they bring around the tray, and it usually is pretty tempting. Again, I get it. You're not as hungry, so you won't eat quite as much. You don't have to buy expensive presents, and you don't have to buy presents for everybody. There's often the Christmas hangover in January when the credit card bill arrives. Set limits. Most people don't expect expensive gifts. The notion it's the thought that counts does still hold true. People do like the fact that you might remember them. And so therefore that you have purchased something for them says, I've thought of you and, I've purchased something for you. But again, you don't have to buy for everybody. And in bigger family groups, you can set limits or you can set capacity on whether who gets bought a present for? Can you buy a family gift for a family? And so it goes. Again, keeping in mind that different arms of families may also be in different financial situations and circumstances. But, again, it's about saying no and about setting your limits. And another tip that can be useful, and please, I'm not a financial advisor or planner, so take it just as colloquialism, is spending cash. And by cash, probably I'm talking about a debit card rather than a credit card. A lot of people don't spend the folding stuff these days. If you got it, great. Essentially, that means you are spending what you already have, and that means you can't be spending beyond what you get, whereas you get a credit card bill in January and you might have spent more than what you got in your bank account, and that then does create some stress because interest rates on credit cards can be very, very high. I mean, something ridiculous like 20%. Essentially, what this means is you can minimise the amount of stress. And if you're hosting Christmas, it's not a requirement that you do all the cooking. Delegate. You've got a whole lot of people coming around. They can all contribute a dish or something to the dinner. Whether, some people are on dessert, some people might be on seafood duty, somebody else might be on turkey duty, a few other people can be making salads. Work it out what works for everybody. It's generally the case that most people are quite happy to contribute. It's often we feel more concerned about asking than people are concerned about helping. After Christmas, surprise, surprise, comes New Year. And 2025 does promise to be interesting. I read the other day that Pluto has moved into Aquarius on November 19, and that happens every 240 years or so. The last time Pluto was in Aquarius coincided with the American War of Independence, the French Revolution, fairly major events in the history of the world. So who knows what happens over the next 20 years, but I suspect there'll be some changes. And, changes will probably be a good thing. The world's travelling all right in some respects, but there's certainly some areas where we can make significant improvements. And New Year is a time for resolutions, and health resolutions remain close to the top of the list, whether it's giving up smoking, whether it's reducing weight, whether it's getting fitter. Set specific goals rather than I want to lose weight, I want to lose X kilograms, 2, 5, 10, whatever you want to do, rather than I want to get fit. Right, I'm going to exercise X days of the week and for so many minutes, so it's quite specific. Again, if you want to quit smoking, nominate a method by which you're going to do it. So a little bit specific turns this vague notion of I'm going to get fit or I'm going to lose weight into something more, achievable, if you like, and more specific. And that does help you to achieve that goals. So I think at this point, it really is to say to all the listeners, thank you so much for your support through the year. Merry Christmas to you all and your families in whatever way, shape or form you recognise or celebrate it, or even if you don't. And best wishes to everybody for the new year, and we'll be continuing the podcast. And yes, coming up with new topics each week to keep you thinking and give you something to use, hopefully, that's of value in your life. Thanks for listening to Dr. Joe Unplugged. If you enjoyed this podcast, please like, share, and consider subscribing. Tell your friends. If there are topics you'd like to see covered, be in touch through the chat or email info@drjoe.net.au. We'll be uploading new content each Monday, and soon we'll be putting these videos out on X. You can follow me there at Dr. Joe's DIY Health.